all. They're probably still on lockdown inside the classroom. But authorities are on the scene. They're making sure that the active shooter situation that was called in is under control right now. You have deputies from Constable Alan Rosen's office as well as the Houston Police Department on the scene. And this is Heights High School that is located at 413 East 13th Street. Tension is very high, and authorities want to make sure that a situation similar to what happened in Uvalde does not take place here in the Houston area. So they have all converged on this particular high school in order to try and make sure that the report of an active shooter was nothing more than just a report. But we have not heard of any gunfire. We have not heard of any injuries to anyone on the scene or anyone in any of the classrooms as well. We have had reports of some students contacting parents or relatives saying that they are under a situation that is locked down, but no injuries at all, and the school is under lockdown. Skyfox is scanning the area, showing us the heavy police presence that they have out there right now, and that is understandable. You have police vehicles as well as deputies' vehicles in front of the school and on the sides of the school as well. And this is because of a report of an active shooter. That call came in about 1 o'clock this afternoon, and that was when HPD, the Houston Police Department, went into action. Constable Alan Rosen's office, Precinct 1, also assisted in going to the school, and they had deputies trying to make sure that the building was cleared, even though it was under lockdown and the students were not allowed to leave at that time. Don't know whether the students are allowed to leave right now, but there is a staging area for parents. In fact, there were 2 addresses given for a staging area for parents. One is at 12th Street and Columbia. The other is at 306 East 15th Street. The school is under lockdown, and they're asking that everyone please avoid the area. Deputies from multiple agencies are on the scene trying to clear the building and making sure that the report of an active shooter is nothing more than a report and not an active shooter at all. Primary as well as secondary searches are being taken care of by the deputies from Precinct 1 as well as the Houston Police Department. We do have a situation that became an emergency situation when the call went out about 1 o'clock this afternoon, and that was that Houston Police Department as well as Constable Alan Rosen's Precinct 1 deputies responded to the scene because of a report of an active shooter. But at this time, again, we have not heard of any gunfire taking place at this facility, which is Heights High School at 413 East 13th Street. We haven't heard of any injuries whatsoever, but we have not seen any congregation of any students outside of the building, so apparently they are still under lockdown and still inside the building. However, parents can go to particular areas to try and go to a staging area in the event that the students are let out. The staging area, one located at 12th Street and Columbia, the other at 306 East 15th Street. These are not far from the school at all. And if you have a child attending the school, you might want to go to that particular area. They're asking that if you do not have to be in the area, please avoid this situation, because there are multiple agencies on scene and they need the space as well as the time involved to make sure that what was reported is nothing more than just a report and not an actual person who is a shooter. At this time, no signs of any gunfire taking place at all. No signs of any injuries. Just a report of an active shooter that multi-agencies have been responding to. Skyfox is over the scene trying to show us, or scanning the area, giving us an idea as to what's taking place. And we are showing you some tweets that are coming in from various law enforcement agencies. This one here from the constable's office: please avoid the area. Deputies and multiple agencies on scene, still clearing the building. Parent staging location has been set up at the corner of East 12th Street and Columbia Street. So this is the situation that is taking place right now, an investigation into the report of an active shooter at Heights High School. Now, this high school is located at 413 East 13th Street. Houston ISD police, we're assuming, are on the scene, as well as, in addition to the Houston Police Department and the Precinct 1 deputy constables. Again, they're asking everyone to avoid this area unless you have to be in the area. And the only time you would have to be in the area is if you are picking up one of your students. Right now, the students seem to be still inside the building under lockdown, and the investigators, as well as the constables, deputies, and police officers, are going through the building, attempting to make sure that the report of the active shooter is nothing more than that, a report. Even though we can't see as Skyfox is hovering over the scene, police are equipped with they're equipped with heavy weaponry in the event that there is a shooter in the building. They have all of the armaments that you would have a SWAT team have at any particular situation. I don't know whether they're treating this situation as a SWAT situation, but they have the weapons as well as the armaments, as well as bulletproof armaments, bulletproof vests, I should say, to protect them in the event that they do confront a shooter. But again, you have several agencies there on the scene, not just the Houston Police Department and HISD Police. You also have Precinct 1 deputy constables who have been there since shortly after 1 o'clock this afternoon. That was when the school was placed on a lockdown, and there were, because of a report of an active shooter. We were still showing you pictures from the air from Skyfox, as the school is surrounded by deputies as well as Houston police officers. And those officers are armed to the teeth right now, just in the event that they do run into someone who is an active shooter. But right now, they're responding to a report of an active shooter. No one has been no reports of any gunfire taking place, and there have been no injuries at all that we are aware of. We have a reporter who has just arrived on the scene, and as soon as we can, we will get to that reporter. But right now, you're looking at some aerial photographs of the police presence that's taking place outside of Heights High School in the Heights this afternoon. All of this because of a report of an active shooter on campus. The school is located on 13th Street, 413 East 13th Street, and the surrounding area has also been There are a lot of officers in the surrounding area as well. Now, there is an area where they have designated as a pickup point for parents, a staging area, so to speak. In fact, there were two areas. The initial area was East 12th and Columbia, and then an additional site was added to that, and that was 306 East 15th Street. If you have a student attending Heights High School, you should go to one of those staging areas as opposed to going directly to the school. They are still asking everyone to avoid being in that particular area unless you really have to be there. And the only reason you would have to be there is to pick up someone. But they've set up staging areas not far from the school, so that would make it easier for you to pick up a child once the child is released from school. We have a reporter on the scene right now. Randy Wallace has just arrived at the scene and is on the ground. Don't know exactly what he has been able to gather, but Randy, can you hear me?
Yeah, right now we're at the media staging area. We're at 14th and Arlington. Let me step out of the way to see if you can get a little better shot here. As you can see, there's a lot of people here, a lot of concerned parents, and a lot of law enforcement. Law enforcement from several different agencies. Now, the one good thing that we can report right now is there are no confirmed reports of any injuries. All we really know at this time is there was a report of an active shooter situation at Heights High School. When I arrived here at the scene, a woman came up to me and told me that her son had texted her and said that there was a shooter, some sort of a situation on the second floor. Now, from what we understand right now, law enforcement, they're sweeping the school to make sure that there's no weapons and that everyone is okay. They're asking people that if you're not a parent, if you don't need to be out here, to not be out here because it's kind of a chaotic scene, obviously. Now, there is a location that parents are being told to go to, and I believe you have that, and you've been given that information, Jose. I don't have it right in front of me now. But again, what we can say at this point is that right now there are no confirmed reports of any injuries, and of course we'll be getting a press briefing here soon, and of course we'll have that live for you. Reporting live, Randy Wallace.
And Randy, you were talking about the staging areas, and the staging areas for parents to go and pick up their students. One located at East 12th Street and Columbia, the other located at 306 East 15th Street. Randy Wallace on the scene, just updating us on the situation. He said that one of the parents, had contacted him as he was coming to the scene and told him that there was some type of a problem on the second floor of the school. Deputies from Precinct 1, deputy constables from Precinct 1 and the Houston Police Department have been going through the building, making sure that there are no weapons inside the building right now. All of this is taking place because of a report of an active shooter that came in about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Immediately, the Houston Police Department, as well as Constable Alan Rosen's Precinct 1 constable deputies, they responded to the scene. They have placed the school on lockdown. As you can see, police officers are on the scene. They're armed very heavily just in the event that there is a type of a confrontation, but hopefully that will not happen. Parents are also gathering at the scene as well, but they should go to a staging area, which is, well, one of two staging areas, one at East 12th Street and Columbia, the other located at 306 East 15th Street, not far from the school at all. And the school is located at 413 East 13th Street. We have not seen any of the students, and parents definitely are concerned about what could be happening inside the school. But right now, we are just monitoring the situation and making sure that we can keep track of everything that is going on out at the scene. police officers from multiple agencies. We're talking about the Houston Police Department, we're talking about HISD police, as well as constable deputies from Precinct 1, all on the scene, making sure that what we have as a report of an active shooter turns out to be just that, a report of an active shooter and not an active shooter as well. But Randy Wallace did say that a parent walked up to him and basically said that their child had contacted them saying that there was some type of a commotion on the second floor of the building. We have not been able to confirm that with authorities as of yet, but we are trying to effort and get as much information as we can regarding this situation here at Heights High School in the Heights of Houston, Texas. And I'm being told by the producer that we have some cell phone video that we'd like to show you right now. Don't know exactly what it shows. These are officers in the building trying to clear one of the classrooms, making sure that there is no active shooter there. That video apparently came from one of the students. Maybe that student was able to send that video to a parent, and the parent was able to transfer that video on to us. But as you can see, there is an extremely heavy police presence at Heights High School, not just constable deputies, but the Houston Police Department as well. And there is a news conference that is going to be taking place very soon, and we're standing by to get as much information as we can. Hopefully, that news conference would be able to provide us with the details that we're trying to fill in the blanks right now. As you can see, emergency vehicles are on scene just in case there are any injuries, but so far we have not heard of any injuries whatsoever. Right now, live pictures from the scene, and it looks like this is the media staging area, and hopefully we would either have Chief Troy Fenner from the Houston Police Department or Constable Alan Rosen as the principals for any information that would be disseminated regarding this particular situation. But again, this started about 1 o'clock this afternoon. A call came in to the Houston Police Department that there was an active shooter at Heights High School. We are now being told that some of the students are being released early from class, and hopefully they would be able to go to the staging areas where their parents are probably very concerned and worried about them and wanting to pick them up. Again, those staging areas, East 12th Street and Columbia, and also 306 East 15th Street. Both of these areas in the Heights. And again, we are showing you live pictures from the scene. We are expecting a news conference to take place at any moment now with one of the officials on scene to talk about what exactly happened. There you see Chief Troy Fenner. He's discussing the situation with one of his officers there on scene.
All right, and I'm joining you, Jose, here at the desk to help you with the coverage that we've been following. We also are just getting a statement from Houston ISD. They just are releasing a statement just letting us know that as a precautionary measure, several schools, including Heights High School, Hogg, and Hamilton Middle Schools will be, well, at least they were in lockdown. They're no longer in lockdown. They also say that they continue to investigate, even though that, as you mentioned, there is no evidence of a credible threat. And just letting people know that students at Heights High School will be dismissed early. And so those school buses are already en route. So if you are a normal bus rider, they're going to bring those buses a little bit earlier.
That's a good thing, because you're going to probably have a lot of students leaving the building not knowing exactly what's taking place and not knowing exactly where to go. Hopefully they will be told about the staging areas, and there are 2 staging areas at this time. One is at East 12th Street and Columbia. The other is at 306 East 15th Street. If you are a parent and you're concerned about your child, please go to one of these particular areas. It's not advisable for you to be in the area as well. I think we also have some federal officials out there at the scene. If I'm not mistaken, that is one of the U.S. Marshals from our area. And they're there in addition to the Houston Police Department, constable deputies from Precinct 1, as well as HISD Police.
That's right. We see a number of agencies there who have been there really, Jose, for well over an hour after we first got this report, just around 1 o'clock today. Again, the latest we're hearing that there's no evidence of any shots being fired, but of course, this is something that is taken very seriously anytime you get these types of reports and you bring in all the manpower that you can bring in until you realize that there is no threat. Obviously, a lot of parents still concerned, waiting to get to their kids. But again, as we mentioned, school is being dismissed early. So if you are a parent, you are able to take your child home. Now you see a lot of the parents are waiting for their kids, waiting for answers. Again, buses are arriving earlier than normal to get people back home who need to go ahead and get home. But again, a lot of parents here obviously waiting frantically just to get their kids and just hug them and make sure they're safe.
Yes, you mentioned a couple of other schools that were going to be dismissed early as well.
Yeah, we mentioned along with Heights High School, there's some middle schools in the area, Jose. Hogg and Hamilton Middle School, they also went into lockdown because, of course, the proximity of those schools to Heights High School. I don't know if all of those are going to be released early, but I do know that they were in lockdown while this was all unfolding. We haven't gotten word that that lockdown has been lifted just yet.
Well, we haven't gotten word that it's been lifted at Heights High School, but apparently the word is that some of the students will be let out, and you can see anxious parents waiting just to find out additional information regarding their kids in school at Heights High School.
Mm-hmm. You may be wondering why those parents just can't go up to the school. Obviously, they're being kept back, and there's a staging area specifically for parents, as there is a staging area for the media as well. So those are in separate areas. Obviously, you know, police want to have their room that they need to investigate and make sure everything is clear before just allowing parents to go in. So that's the reason you see a lot of those parents being in that one area, because that's where they're being kept until they get the all clear.
And the all clear has not been given as of yet.
Again, we're seeing a tweet right here, Jose. That was just basically from Houston Police saying that at this time there are no confirmed injuries. Parents are being staged right at East 15th Street, and that's where you saw that group of parents. But they are asking everyone to avoid that area if you are not needed. So if you're someone who's just coming by to see what's going on, they're asking you to not come by right now. And again, the media staging area where we have crews is also in that area right near 14th Street.
You know, this is a situation that's been going on since 1 o'clock this afternoon when a call came into the Houston Police Department of a report of an active shooter. But as you were saying, there is no definite active shooter situation right now, just a report. No injuries have been reported, but we do have a lot of parents very concerned about their youngsters, you know, showing up at the scene right now.
Mm-hmm. Obviously so, and as we saw from some of that video just a few moments ago, Jose, we did see officers making entry into multiple classrooms, asking if anyone was in those rooms who did not need to be there. They were asking, is anyone hurt? Obviously, in light of what we've seen in some of the other school shootings, particularly Uvalde, everyone taking this very seriously, not taking any chances, and you see here these officers making entry into each of those classrooms. So this was, you know, incredible to really see. We often don't get this video like this.
Yes, apparently it was taken by a student inside the classroom and may have sent it to a parent, and that is probably how we were able to get that video. But it is dramatic video showing exactly how officers are going through the school trying to make sure that everything is cleared.
Mm-hmm. Making entry with their rifles drawn, as you see in this video right here, going classroom by classroom. And you see, as they realize in this classroom that there is no threat, they closed the door. And so really what I understand is they went door by door, and that's how they made entry and just made sure that everything was all clear.
And it was deputy constables as well as the Houston Police Department performing the searches through the building while it was on lockdown and all of the students were inside the classroom.
Yeah, we're still waiting for another update, Jose, of course, from Houston Police Chief Troy Finner and Constable Alan Rosen. Again, the latest they've given us as of the last 20 or 30 minutes is that they have searched the building, but what I understand from one of my Houston police sources is that they really want to go and do a secondary search and a third search just to be sure before they get on TV and say that everything is all clear. So at this point, no reports of an active shooter, but they do want to do their due diligence and search at least one or two more times, is what I understand. So that's really one of the things that they are really wanting to do right now. Again, you're looking live right now at the school. These are live pictures as you see multiple law enforcement agencies there on the ground, including Houston Police. We know that constables' offices from several precincts are on there. And as Jose mentioned, we also have spotted some federal officials as well. This is all, again, unfolding right here at Heights High School. It all started around 1 o'clock. At least that's when we got the first call here. Well, at least we are understanding the first call was made to police. And that is also part of their investigation, figuring out who made the call and sort of where the threat originated from. That's part of their investigation, obviously, as well.
You know, it seems as though because of the situation in Uvalde, that all of the officers in our area, in fact, all of the officers around the state of Texas right now are on high alert regarding any situation that takes place at any school. This just happens to be a high school, and they were able to place it on lockdown after receiving the information and immediately start their investigations by going into the building as well. I did not know of a secondary or a third search, but they want to make sure that there is everything cleared if there is any type of a problem. Now, when Randy Wallace gave us a live report about 10 minutes ago, he was saying that one of the parents came up to him and said that her son, if I'm not mistaken, or her child, told her that there was some type of a commotion on the second floor. We have not been able to confirm that at all with any of the officials out at the scene, but we will try and get as much information regarding that. Hopefully Randy will ask one of the officers regarding that situation that possibly could have taken place on the second floor.
Yeah, that we are going to be looking into that. I did just get a tweet from a Houston police officer who's, or at least a text message from an officer on the scene. He says they are still inside searching the building. So as you mentioned, Jose, they are doing that secondary search before they go ahead and give parents and give everyone the all clear. We're also hearing from our producers that there is at the same time an investigation happening over in Waco, Waco ISD at the high school there, reports of an active shooter. Not saying that these two are related, but again, that Waco police are looking into a similar situation, an active shooter at a high school, at least one being reported. They say that they have multiple agencies on the scene. They are inside, also clearing the building. And they're saying that parents can go to a base to be reunited. So again, not saying these two are related, but certainly concerning that we have two reports of an active shooter at two high schools here in Texas at the same time.
It's an unusual coincidence, but it's showing that all of the officers throughout the state are on high alert and responding immediately to any type of a report of any type of an active shooter at any school here in the state of Texas. That is something that has evolved out of the situation in Uvalde, where you had 19 students and 2 teachers killed by a shooter who went into a building and was not stopped for more than an hour before he killed those individuals in that school.
Yeah, it's just really incredible. I've been getting some texts as well from our very own Isaiah Carey and some of the videos that we've been seeing. If we can show those again for people who may just be joining us, videos from inside the classroom, a vantage point you often don't get. But some of these videos were sent to Isaiah Carey from students that he knows. They tagged him in the videos. They sent him these videos. And then he, of course, sent them to our newsroom. But this is what was happening inside the school as those officers were going door by door, searching each classroom with their guns drawn, asking, is anyone inside who isn't supposed to be here? Is everyone okay? Has anyone been hurt? Yelling that out to the students because they needed to be clear before going in, and while they were in there, if they were looking perhaps for an active shooter in each classroom. So those videos, again, very dramatic and the vantage point that we often don't see during a situation like that.
Exactly, and the students had to be very, very shocked and concerned, especially when you see an armed police officer enter a classroom demanding to find out exactly what was going on inside the classroom and if there was anything going on inside the classroom.
That's right. I understand we have some new video we're going to show just into our newsroom here of another officer entering one of these classrooms. Let's look at this. I don't know if there's any audio there. But you can see what appears to perhaps be a teacher there at the door and officers coming in.
Here? Anybody that shouldn't be in here? Is anybody hurt? No? Everybody's okay?
Again, that's new video just into our newsroom. Another situation where you see officers coming in, guns drawn, entering the classroom, and you heard those officers saying there, anyone hurt, anyone in here who should not be in here. Again, going classroom by classroom at Heights High School. This is, again, all unfolding right now as we speak.
It's amazing how all of this is taking place while we're talking about what's taking place there at the school. That was the initial search, but now they're doing secondary and third searches just to make sure that everything is cleared in the classrooms as well as throughout the rest of the school. Mm-hmm. In this particular video, it looks like there's a teacher who is, well, he's holding his hands up as if he was being confronted, and
they make entry and sort of kind of go around asking, is anyone supposed to be here? We also, again, want to show you this tweet. This is a tweet, the latest one from Houston ISD, just letting people know that as a precautionary measure, other schools, including Hogg and Hamilton Middle Schools, went into lockdown. So not just Heights High School, but those schools nearby also taking this very seriously. Again, all as a precautionary measure, but obviously you see this is serious, and the way this is being handled is very serious as well. At this point, again, if you're just joining us, this all unfolded around 1 o'clock this afternoon. That's when the first calls of a reported active shooter came in. Police immediately went to the school, as we saw several of them making entry into multiple classrooms, making sure there was no credible threat. At this point, we have not heard any reports of any shots being fired or any active shooter being spotted. But again, they're searching the school, Jose, again, at least another time.
Law enforcement presence is really amazing. You have all of these officers, not just from the Houston Police Department, constable deputies from Precinct 1, as well as HISD police, all converging on this one particular school. And in addition to that school, as the others were placed on lockdown, we can only assume that some of these officers were assigned to Hogg and Hamilton Middle School as well, because this is a situation, those were adjacent schools to that particular, to Heights High School, and since every one of those schools was placed on lockdown, they were just making sure that everything was going to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm. And right now, again, you're looking at some of the law enforcement, Jose, still there waiting. We also have seen images of parents, many parents, obviously any parent who is of a student in that area would want to know what's going on. I understand they're being kept in a staging area right near a church, near the high school, and they're waiting for the all clear. We also see Fire Chief Sam Pena there in the middle. He is there. So really every Houston agency is there, from our fire department, our constables, offices, multiple precincts, along with Houston Police, of course, who I understand is taking the lead, at least in part. We also see the FBI agents there on the scene as well.
As well as deputy marshals from, federal deputy marshals. They're taking part in this situation as well. Mm-hmm. All of the law enforcement officers pulling together to make sure that the children are safe inside of that school.
Yeah, and you know, Jose, since the Uvalde situation happened, we know as we've been reporting, officers have been training more and more for situations like this. You hope that you never have to use that training, but this is a situation where they certainly have been going through exercises. What if this was to happen? What if there was an active shooter? How do we handle things? How would we communicate? Obviously, communication was a bit concerned in Uvalde. We're not comparing the two necessarily, but saying that they have been training. So what you're seeing is really a result also of some of the work that they've been putting in to make sure they can handle things appropriately.
You mentioned communication, and that's what's very important in a situation like this. One agency has to talk to another agency, and since you have so many agencies out there at the scene, it seems as though they are communicating with one another, making sure that they're coordinating the searches of the building and coordinating the end of the lockdown, as well as probably escorting many of the students to an area where they would probably meet up with their parents.
That's right. As we mentioned earlier, Jose, as well, they are going to release students early. I don't know if all of the students have been allowed to leave the school just yet, but we do know that buses are allowing students who normally are bus riders to go ahead and go home. But parents, of course, a lot of them don't want their kids probably riding the bus. They want to see them, they want to hug them and reunite with them. And I don't think they've been able to do that just yet, because most parents at this point are being kept in a staging area near a church, near the high school. And as soon as the all clear is given, I think that's when they'll be allowed to do that. But at this point, according to sources on the scene, they are still doing a secondary search, a secondary sweep of the high school, just to make sure there is no threat, no real threat of an active shooter.
You know, you mentioned the church, and I don't know whether this is the address of the church, 306 East 15th Street, but this is one of the areas that they had designated as a staging area for parents who wanted to try and pick up their students. And another one they had set up earlier was at East 12th Street and Columbia. And then we have been able to see a lot of them near the media staging area, because they apparently want to know information that we have been able to gather. And sometimes we just don't have the information to give them, but we do see them gathering, trying to at least wait for their children to get out of class.
Again, the best part of this, all of this, is that right now we are hearing there are no signs of gunfire, no signs or no reports of anyone being injured. And again, what could have been a bad situation, we don't even know exactly who originated this call, or if someone thought they saw a shooter, if this was perhaps something else. But we do know, again, that this was taken very seriously. I'm even seeing people praise the law enforcement for responding so quickly, getting out there right away and taking this very seriously, not waiting, not just waiting around, but going into the classrooms right away and making sure that this was taken seriously, assuming the worst and obviously hoping for the best.
You have to hope for the best in a situation like this, especially when you have so many law enforcement officials who have gone out into this area, not just at the Heights High School, but also to some of the other schools in that particular area that were placed on lockdown. This is a situation that we haven't really experienced in our area, but you were talking about the experience that officers now have because of the situation that took place in Uvalde. Many of them have been going through additional training to prepare for a situation like this.
And you can just see some of the parents here, the look of worry on their faces. A lot of the parents on their cell phones, texting, calling their children. I guess that's one of the benefits of having cell phones in the classroom in school. Back in our day, we couldn't have cell phones, but that's one of the benefits, is when situations like this happen, at least parents can communicate right away with their kids to know where they are and to know that they are safe. And so I know a lot of them, that has to be such a relieving feeling to know that they're getting those messages that I'm okay, I'm safe. And I know a lot of parents that's just a good thing until they can actually physically reunite with them.
Yes, and that reunification should be taking place sometime soon, because you were talking about the students being released early, but we have not seen any of the students being let out of Heights High School at all.
All right. And we're also, Jose, getting some new information from Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo. She was at Commissioner's Court not too long ago, speaking about the shooting, or at least what she knows so far. So let's listen into our county judge.
Where there were initial reports of a 911 call from Heights High School and potential active shooter situation, but now it's been confirmed preliminarily that it seems to be of some students that got into a fight, and there have been no injuries reported, nobody shot, but law enforcement's continuing to verify.
Again, so that's Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo with some new information coming right out of Commissioner's Court. From what she's being told from constables' offices and officers, that it started because of a fight. That's the latest she's hearing. I think that may be the first we've heard of that.
That may be that commotion that the parent who was talking to Randy Wallace may be referring to that particular situation. But that was the first time we have heard that this was a fight, that the situation has resulted from what appeared to be a fight in the school.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, again, that is the latest from the county judge, but obviously they want to make sure that it is nothing more. I mean, that if it was a fight, we don't know if any threats were made there, but someone called in saying that there was an active shooter, and that's why you see the presence, and that's why you see this taken very seriously by the law enforcement there on the ground. So again, if we can just show some more of that video, because I think that video really tells the story of what these students have dealt with really for the last couple of hours now. They're sitting in their classrooms and watching officers come in and search these classrooms, and you see the teachers there in each situation, I think, at the door basically saying, we're good, you know, there's no one in here who shouldn't be in here. And you've got to think that maybe that's what the teachers are trained to do at this point, is to be that front person when something like this happens.
It's shocking to not just the teachers, but also to the students when you have a situation like this with the officers just coming in. And as they were saying, is everybody okay? Making sure that everyone was all right. When you're sitting down at a desk, I can only assume when you're sitting down at a desk as a student and you see something like this, it's totally a shock to you, even though you don't know exactly what's going on. You have to respond to them, the law enforcement officers at the scene.
Mm-hmm. Because you assume that everything is okay where you are in your classroom, but you have no idea what's going on in perhaps the classroom just next to you. So there's certainly a concern for perhaps just the safety of the school in general and your friends and your peers and teachers in other classrooms. And so again, we're just we're glad that what we're hearing again at this point is that there are no reports of any injuries, no gunfire actually being reported at the school at this point. But again, parents still waiting to reunite with their children. A staging area set up here right near the school at a church. And as soon as we get the all clear and get some new information, we of course will pass that along to you. We are awaiting a news conference again from Harris County officials, as well as Police Chief Troy Finner as well, I believe.
Yes, we are supposed to be updated on the situation. They just haven't given us a situational update. The only update that we got was from County Judge Lena Hidalgo, who was basically saying that the information that she had received was that there was some type of a fight, an altercation, and this resulted from that. Now, whether that is the situation that we have to deal with right now, we don't know, but we have not received any information from the Houston Police Department regarding exactly how this started, nor from the Constable Precinct 1's office as to how this started at all. But Judge Lena Hidalgo was saying that the information that she had received was that there was some type of a fight at the school.
Mm-hmm. It is
Where
what
there were
we're
initial
hearing.
reports of a 911 call from Heights High School and potential active shooter situation, but now it's been confirmed preliminarily that it seems to be of some students that got into a fight, and there have been no injuries reported, nobody shot, but law enforcement's continuing to verify.
That would be great if that was the case, and hopefully it is the case, but we have not received any official notification from either Precinct 1 constables, deputies, or the Houston Police Department or HISD Police that was in fact what happened.
Mm-hmm. And we'll wait to hear that, and hopefully that is the case. We also have had crews on the ground speaking to people, parents, along with law enforcement. So let's listen into some of the interviews just coming into our newsroom. All right, we're gonna try to come back to that, but I did want to go back to what I mentioned earlier, the church where parents are being told to go, and that is the Bethlehem Lutheran Church. The Bethlehem Lutheran Church is what we're being told is where parents are being staged, and I believe the address on that is right around.
Is it 306 East 15th Street?
Yes, right there, East 15th Street. So if you are a parent or you know someone who is a parent or a guardian, that is where you are being asked to go. You can't go directly up to the school, obviously. So parents, again, the Bethlehem Lutheran Church right there off 15th Street is where you're going to be kept until you're allowed to reunite with your kids.
And there are hundreds of students who are probably very anxious to get out of the classroom after being under lockdown for such a long time this afternoon, not being able to go to another class if they did have to change classes at all. This is just one of those situations that...
All right, so we have a couple of parents, I understand, that we just spoke to, so let's listen into those interviews just in. With our Tiffany
Jonathan,
Justice.
we have a
Go ahead,
Jonathan,
Tiffany.
we have a concerned parent and a concerned grandmother. Jonathan, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Tiffany.
We have a concerned mother and a concerned grandmother who's willing to speak with us about exactly what they know at this point. You have a son here at the high school, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Hezekiah.
And you told me that you were able to text him at least once. Do you mind just going over that once?
Yes.
Once
So initially, I'm a manager at a barbershop, so I'm busy. I didn't get no calls or no texts, and my brother called me finally and was like, "Did I know that there was an active shooter at Heights?" And I was like, "Oh my God, no!" So I hung up and I texted my son, and he responded right away, and he was like, "Yeah, they're wilding up here, you know how the kids talk." And I was like, "Oh my God, like just be safe, you know, if y'all can lock a chair on the door or something." And then when I tried to call him again after trying to get out here with the traffic and congestion and everything, he wasn't responding, so that made me that much more nervous. And en route, I got an alert from HISD, but it was after the fact that everything had already been taking place, the lockdown, everything, and that's unfortunate that it was so late. I mean, I know that us being parents and grandmothers, like, we can't rush right into the school, but we are concerned about our children, and to find out later at the last end of the stick. But I'm just glad that my son is okay, and I should be able to get him shortly. Because I'm right here with Miss Vanessa. Like, both of our hearts is about to jump out our chest, and especially right after what happened in Uvalde. It's just like it's heartening. Like, my father is a sheriff deputy with Harris County, and he's already out there some way. Left work to check on his baby too. So,
Angel, thank you so much.
Yes,
We
thank
do want to
you.
speak with you ffurther off camera. I think they're starting the press conference, but thank you so
Awesome,
much.
awesome.
Yes,
Okay,
we should
thank
learn a
you
lot
so
more
much.
detail. I'm going to send it back to you, Jonathan, in studio.
We have Chief Roy Finner up at the microphone, and the news conference is about to start.
So approximately 1 p.m., 1:11 p.m. to be exactly, we got a shots fired, shooting in progress call at Heights High School. The call originally came down through Precinct 1 dispatcher, but it quickly got around to all the agencies. Officers arrived within minutes. We got a report of 10 people shot, which was untrue. We didn't know it at the time. In a room 213. That's located on the opposite side. When we got to that side, the door was locked. Considering what happened recently in an active shooter, we breached the door. We went in and we immediately started searching because we want to make sure our kids are safe and okay? So again, I said nobody's hurt out here, okay? Now this is important, okay, because I need parents to cooperate with us. When the press conference is over, we're going to start releasing students. If you have a student, the parent pickup is going to be on 14th Street. It's right here, right? The buses are going to come on 13th Street, okay? So we need everybody to work with us on that. But look, I am extremely proud of our first responders' response here today, which include our fire. We had units from Precinct 1, HFD, Harris County Sheriff's Office, FBI, U.S. Marshals, DPS, and also our DA's office. And if I forgot somebody, we'll get it at the end. But I'm going to step out the way and let Constable Rosen say a few words, because it originally came down through dispatch through his agency. I was just blocks away, and I was here within minutes. So we're just proud of our team response. Go ahead, Alan.
Chief, thank you very much. We received the call at 1301, and it was dispatched at 1303, and our first unit arrived at 1310. As you can see by the law enforcement presence, law enforcement descended on this school and took the appropriate action to ensure these kids were safe. Thankfully, every parent here should be thankful this was not an active shooter. And be thankful for all the things that your kids are going to be fine, they're okay, and that law enforcement was here to do its job. So parents, we appreciate how concerned you are. We're parents, so we feel your pain, we feel your angst, we feel your everything that you feel, we feel with you. And most of the officers out here have children too. So thankfully, we have good news to report. There was no active shooter here. There was a fight. So we're thankful for that. I'll turn it over to the
HFD Chief Pena. Thanks.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Let me just say that, first of all, I thank God that there were no injuries here. No, there was no student injured at this call. But calls like these are not inconsequential. And I know the police department is going to do their job to get down to the bottom of where it originated, because the effects that it has on resources is one thing, but the effect it has on the public and on the parents is critical. That is just something that should not be done. The heartstrings that people are tugging at when they do this kind of stuff is just, it's not acceptable. The fire department received the call at 1308, that's 108. We had our first unit on scene within 2 minutes at 110. In total, we had 25 units that responded to the scene, and we had a rescue task force assembled and attached with police department within 8 minutes of the call that we received. That is a tremendous coordination effort between the fire department and the police department and law enforcement that are here on scene. I think that's what the community expects. The community expects the first responders to get on scene quickly, to get on scene and coordinate and start taking action as soon as they get on scene, and that's exactly what we did. As Chief Finner mentioned and Constable Rosen mentioned, there were no injuries except for one police officer that was treated for heat exhaustion. One of our medic units assisted the officer and they were released on scene, but other than that, we've had no reports of injuries. When we start evacuating or letting people out, we want to do it, please, in an organized manner to avoid any injuries resulting from us vacating the premise. So with that, I'm going to turn it over now to the Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Cruz.
Deputy Superintendent Rick Cruz.
Yes, thank you.
Sir.
I want to start off by thanking our different law enforcement entities who are here with us today. I want to again stress there are no injuries to any students or adults in the building, so it is good news. A few additional points I'd like to share, and I'll be repeating them in Spanish as well. Again, we're grateful that today was a false alarm at the high school, that all of the students are safe. I want to again thank our law enforcement entities, because keeping our students safe continues to be the district's #1 priority. Again, all Heights High School students are safe and they've been dismissed early. Our students will be transported home via bus. And let me make this abundantly clear, and Chief Pena spoke to this, we will not tolerate any kind of false alarms such as these. So anyone who makes false accusations around the schools or around any kind of safety situation will be persecuted to the extent possible under the law. We as a district will continue to take the safety of our students seriously, and will continue to work with our community partners to make sure this is done. Primero les quiero agradecer por estar aquí. Quiero agradecer la respuesta que tuvimos aquí a partir de todas las agencias de policía que están con nosotros hoy en día. Quiero estresar que ningún estudiante se lastimó, que todos los estudiantes están bien. Lo que ocurrió hoy fue una alarma falsa. O sea, alguien llamó, hizo una acusación que no era
All right, again,
verdadera.
you're listening to a news conference from officials there on the ground. We've heard from Police Chief Troy Finner. We've heard from Fire the fire chief, Sam Pena. We're also hearing from other officials there. Again, the message he's giving right now in Spanish is that these false alarms, these false reports will be taken seriously. Again, that's what they're calling today, a false threat, a false alarm. So let's continue to listen into this news conference again happening. But the headline again that we're hearing, there was no active shooter. There was a fight is what we're being told. No active shooter, a fight, no injuries. This all again unfolded at just around 1 o'clock when police got the call about 10 people being shot at Heights High School. We heard from Police Chief Troy Finner saying that the door was locked. Let's listen in. I don't know who this is speaking now, but let's listen in right now.
Partners that we have out here, again, I am greatly thankful that no children are injured. I do want to let you know how this call actually came into HISD. It was a fight in progress. There was actually not a report call over the active shooter on our end. We received that information from HPD. We immediately act. We have actual campus officers on campus. They immediately started to search the building. And then, of course, the additional resources came to help us clear the building. Again, the all clear has been given. No students are injured. We will continue to investigate this bogus call that came in with HPD as the lead for that. And then we will actually prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. We can identify who that is. So if you have any information for us on that, we would greatly appreciate it. This has caused a great panic, but again, all of the kids are safe. We do appreciate all of our resources that have come out today. And again, we're looking forward to a safe year. If you guys have any information for that, definitely give us a call and we'll look into that matter for us.
Thank you, Chief. 1 second. I want to say this, okay? This is very important. Chief said it. Chief Rogers said it. It's no joke. And whoever made this call, just understand. And when I say all our agencies, including the FBI, we're going to trace it down and we're going to hold them accountable, okay? That's the first thing I want to say. Now, let's address a few quick questions. And why I'm saying it's quick, it's hot out here. A lot of people are packed up. We love each other and love y'all, but I don't want anybody to go overheated. Go ahead.
Chief, I just wanted to clarify. You said
I'm good, thank you.
somebody from the school called 911 or
We don't know where the call came, but we think it's outside of the school right now. But that's part of the investigation. I'll let Chief Rogers.
There was a fight between two students, yes. So our priority was making sure that everyone was safe, so that's the reason why a call did not come out. We have to ensure that all kids are safe. That was a priority, and then the calls to the parents come out.
Are you aware of any other threats?
Go ahead.
Are you aware of any other threats
No.
in Texas that are similar to this?
No, I'm not aware of anything today, and to be honest with you, we've been on this scene. It's been active, and we're trying to take care of our area, but we'll check on that a little bit later.
We don't know that yet.
Do you think the fight and the call were related?
It's part of the investigation, okay? Go ahead.
maybe somebody else can address the issue where we've heard from a lot of frustrated parents that they weren't able to get information.
Let me address this, okay? I sympathize. I'm a parent. I got a kid in HISD, okay? I sympathize with you. But we have to kind of use some reason, okay, here. We have to search the school. That is the most important thing, to stop the threat if there's a threat. We don't have time to call. Once we make it safe, we start making those calls, okay? So I want everybody to understand that we love our citizens. We love our parents, but it's a process, and you have to make things safe, because if you don't, and somebody's actually shooting somebody in that school, then that is the worst case scenario. So we're gonna deal with safety first, and then notifications, okay? But I apologize if it took longer, but again, we're gonna make things safe first, okay? Now look, one more question and we're gonna get out. Go ahead, Chief. Y'all good? Got anything else? Okay.
Sí, mire, las llamadas falsas de este tipo
All right, you're listening to a news conference from several officials here in Houston. They have now given the all clear at Heights High School. The all clear has been given. Again, no active shooter reported there. There was one reported, but no active shooter found. There, again, according to HISD police, was a fight between two students today. But a call did come in around 1 o'clock this afternoon saying that there had been a shooting and that, in fact, 10 people, they say, again, according to that call, had been shot. And that was in room 213 inside Heights High School. Again, we heard from Police Chief Troy Finner saying that the door was locked to that particular classroom, and that's why they were really concerned, especially considering what happened in Uvalde. So when they found that door was locked, they did make entry with their guns drawn, which is what you saw in some of the video we've been showing you earlier. But again, the all clear has been given at Heights High School. No one has been shot. No one has been injured. No shots were even fired, according to police. Again, right now, the concern is getting parents reunited with their children. That is happening again right on 14th Street, and the buses, they say, are going to be lined along 13th Street. So we do want to make it clear again that the all clear has been given. This was a massive response by police. We saw Houston Fire Department, we saw FBI, we saw U.S. Marshal's Office, the District Attorney's Office, everyone coming together as they have been trained to do, especially in light of recent school shootings, particularly here in Uvalde, Texas. So again, we will be following the latest on this on our news at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock on the News Edge as well. But again, police are saying that they have now cleared the school, or they are in the process of clearing school, and parents will be able to pick up their kids on 14th Street near the church at Bethlehem Lutheran, and along 13th Street is where the buses will be. Police Chief Troy Finner also addressing some concerns that many parents had that perhaps they did not get enough communication or any timely communication, but he's saying that the priority for law enforcement was to go ahead and clear the area, to go ahead and clear the school. Let's listen back into our police chief here.
In Houston-Harris County region, it's too many people responding. So I want to be clear of that, okay? So thank y'all. Let's get these parents to their kids. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me address that really quick, just to complete the thought on here. And Chief Finner is exactly right. We had plenty of law enforcement responses on scene. We had 25 units of the Houston Fire Department. I can't be more proud of the work they did. They were on scene within 2 minutes from the call, from the dispatch time. Now, there is coordination that has to be done on our part with law enforcement. Law enforcement has a different approach. They're going to go in and they're going to take offensive action as needed. We need to coordinate with that aspect. So as far as resources, look, we have over 100 firefighters on scene, and they have more than that as far as law enforcement. I think the coordination was appropriate.
Can I make one last announcement real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to make one last announcement because we do want to get our students with their families. So as soon as we are done with this conference in a second, we're going to release students home. So if they're on a bus, the buses will continue their operation. If you'd like to pick them up, you can pick them up on 14th and Arlington. Again, our commitment in HISD is to keep students safe. So we will be dismissing right now all of the students and letting them go home either through bus or through parents can pick them up on 14th and Arlington. Les quiero decir que ahorita al acabar esta conferencia en un minuto, ya vamos a dejar a los estudiantes salir. Los estudiantes que van a ir de autobús van a seguir.
All right, what has been a pretty dramatic last few hours ending peacefully, thank goodness, at Heights High School again. A report of an active shooter earlier this afternoon turned out to be a false call. So again, no one has been shot, no active shooter there at the scene. Police are vowing to find whoever made this bogus call in, but of course a huge response from law enforcement all across our city, including the FBI. We have crews on the ground following this story, and of course we'll have the very latest, including many parents now reuniting with their children when you join us here for the news at 5 o'clock. We of course will also follow the latest on our website, fox26houston.com. I'll see you here at 5 o'clock.